So welcome again. I am Gabriel Marguglio. I'm the CEO of Nextiny Marketing. We are a Diamond HubSpot user. We're a Diamond HubSpot agency in Florida, solution. And I'm a family man. I have 4 awesome kids and an amazing wife that's also my partner, Jackie. I love gardening and raising butterflies. Yes, that's a thing. We got this. Stephanie, one of our team members here at Nextiny, and she's connected right there. She showed us how to do this, and now we became, butterfly habits. We raised them from the eggs and everything, trying to help as much as possible. A couple of days ago, we released 7 butterflies, monarchs, to the world. So good stuff. I used to say that I was a frustrated drummer, but I'm actually a drummer again because I actually have my drum set and all our kids play instruments, but I'm back and playing drums again. And as you can see in the background, these are real. So I am a typewriter collector and I own more than 200, which is insane, but we love them. It's what I've been doing during the pandemic. A good collection there. So how about we introduce Isabella?
Okay, so hey guys, I am Isabella. I'm the video marketing manager here at Nextiny. I'm originally from Miami. I just completed my MFA in writing for film and television, and I am a very proud and obsessed dog mom.
There you go. Aaron.
Hey guys, I am Aaron. I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny. Some fun facts about me. I really love to travel. I am a Jogo Bonito addict. That is Portuguese for the beautiful game. It's soccer. And I am a proud new dog parent. I just got a dog about a week ago and couldn't be happier about it.
Like cats and dogs at Aaron's house right now.
Oh yeah, right? It is wild.
Awesome. All right, I see more people connecting and introducing themselves. We have Benjamin, we have Kathy from Colorado, we have Sarah from New York, people from all over the country and the world. Keep connecting and keep introducing yourselves. Let's go through the agenda a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why video marketing is important right now. Of course, that's something that almost everybody knows. Video is something that you should be adding to all your marketing, sales, customer service efforts, and it helps you create a more human connection with your audience and your leads and your customers. But we'll talk a little bit more about how things are growing and how people are using it. We'll talk about how to set it up, your cameras, your audio, your lighting, everything related. Our Isabel and Aaron do this on an ongoing basis. They are our production team, and they go from idea through production to execution and promotion. So we'll go through the whole process. Creating a video strategy, which is important. Everything needs to be connected to a strategy. How do we create videos that are actually going to create an impact? Video capturing process, editing, taking video a step further with more B-roll and branding and other things you can add. We'll go through actually a process, Aaron showing how to create an email signature video. He'll actually edit it. We create a short video that shows the whole editing process so you can see that. We'll go through other video ideas to get you started, promoting, analyzing, optimizing, and then we'll end up with brand affinity marketing, which is a great segue to our next workshop in July, which is going to be creating video series and podcasts for brand affinity marketing. So, Isabella, you want to take it from there?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to start with why video marketing is important right now. Next slide.
If you have any questions, put it in the chat pane. We'll be adding all the questions to a document. We'll go through the end of the presentation in our Q&A section.
Cool. Okay, so now more than ever, video can be a vital part of your strategy. Whether you're in marketing, sales, creative, or IT, video can be an effective communication solution and content generator for your business. So Wistia recently came out with their 2021 State of Video Report. So in this, we found a lot of really interesting metrics when they were comparing videos from 2016 all the way down to 2020. So given the amount of businesses that transitioned to working from home or were limited to in-person interactions or away from it, video became a vital piece of communication. And we really think that this particular finding, that there was an 81% increase in videos being uploaded in 2020, reflects that. So alongside with the amount of videos being created, the amount of videos being consumed was just as staggering, making video more normalized than ever. And this 84% increase in minutes of videos watched in 2020 is another pretty significant indicator of video's importance in the marketing and sales landscape and how it became a vital source of communication and information exchange last year. So how can video help and how can it be done? Are two important questions of the day. So the complexity of video has changed. A lot of common obstacles are typically that you need specialists or expensive equipment. You need to learn new skills, and it can be incredibly time consuming. But the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of ways to start video. When you're looking at video production, there's a lot of different entry points. It really comes down to, number one, finding the right videographer. This could be someone that's already on your team. Maybe you have someone that might be interested in learning about video, or maybe they're already making video on their own time as a creative outlet. That could be something that they could be implementing for your own business. Or you could outsource. You could start looking for a video member to bring onto your team and just start creating from there. Investing in the right gear is incredibly important. And that also goes back to that videographer, because you really want to make sure they're comfortable with what they're using and not giving them a $10,000 camera when they've only shot an iPhone, et cetera. And that goes back to finding different ways to access video. If you maybe don't have video gear yet in your company, but you do have access to iPhones or, just high product quality phones that can capture like 2K, 4K videos, then that's something that you can start creating videos with right away. Or maybe you do have a more skilled videographer that you could start investing in some DSLR cameras, et cetera. So all of those go back to establishing the video goals.
And one is, how did you start? Like, we were not a video production agency, a video marketing agency 5, 6, 7 years ago. How did we start? We found someone in-house, someone, Megan, our creative director today, she was just the account manager. She had a great Instagram account. She loved creating photography. She was a photographer, creative person, loved doing websites and stuff like that. So we talked to her, presented this as an idea. Do you want to start doing videos? We started using some, iPhone videos and just not a lot of equipment, and then learn as we grew on it. But then again, at the end of the day, when we started doing more professional videos, we ended up hiring Isabella, hiring Aaron, hiring professionals that know how to do this. But you can start in-house and do amazing things. It's all about that establishing those goals and the strategy, and we'll talk about that today.
All right, so I'll pick it up from here. We're going to talk about our video setup now. So we're going to discuss all of the gear that you're going to be wanting to get initially to get started with video. So when it comes to video, there are going to be 4 main pillars that we want to talk about in this section. It's going to be the camera for your video, obviously, microphone for your audio, your lighting to complement your framing. So we'll get started here. All right, video camera options. So when it comes to high quality video, of course, a lot of people already have webcams built into their computer. So you can get started directly with that. But let's say it just doesn't fit the need in terms of the quality. You want to bump that quality up. You can go with a Logitech Webcam. These are kind of standard. They're pretty inexpensive, but they shoot full frame, full HD. So you get 1080p results out of it. And it just adds a little bit more light into it as well. So overall, your quality is going to increase from a built-in webcam to a standalone webcam like that. Now, let's say, you don't want to just shoot from, a webcam. You don't want to shoot from your computer. You want to take that another step on top of that. You can jump straight into a mirrorless camera or a DSLR. They're pretty simple to use. You can see the image there on the bottom. You've probably seen them out in the field, people taking photos and videos with them. You can set one of those up as a webcam and use it for high quality purposes for this example. But you can also unplug it, take it out in the field, and record all of your video footage there as well. So that's a benefit when it comes to mirrorless or DSLR versus a webcam, but you can kind of ease into either there. Now, when it comes to audio equipment, the first microphone is going to be more pertained to the videos when it comes to recording on your computer. So you can see I actually have my microphone right here. It's a Blue Yeti. It's pretty high quality. It doesn't pick up a lot of background noise. And so for an inexpensive cost, you can really bump that audio quality up. Now, if you go the DSLR or mirrorless option route, you are going to want to explore either a shotgun microphone or a lavalier microphone. Now, there's a few different examples you want to use this in. If you're out in the field with a shotgun mic, you need to pick up a little bit more ambient sounds. You don't want the lavalier microphone showing up, attached to you, etc., things like that. You can use a shotgun mic. It'll pick up nice, clear quality audio. It's very directional, so you want to point it directly at the subject that's speaking, and that's just used for out in the field. Now, lavalier microphone does essentially the same thing. You're out in the field, but it's a lot more pertained to the subject's audio. So if you really want to hone in on exactly what someone's saying and really get that clear crystal quality, then go ahead and go with a lavalier microphone. Typically, they're wired, but you can also get wireless options. So those are your options for audio. Now, moving into lighting, that's going to be our third pillar. This is extremely important. You want to make sure you're well lit. So you can see the imaging that we've added on the bottom there. I just set up the same exact framing, turned all my lights off, took an image, and then turned on all my lights back on. And you can see how much better I look on the right-hand side because I'm just a lot more flushed out, and you can tell it's not as shadowed. Now, when it comes to lighting, you really want to explore LED panels. They're kind of the standard today when it comes to lighting. They're relatively inexpensive. They're battery operated, or you can plug them into a wall. You can also change the color temperature typically on them, as well as the brightness. So they're very versatile and easy to use. But if you don't have any lighting and you want to start it with video immediately, find a window or a doorway that's bringing light in, and then always make sure that that light is hitting you from the front side. You never want to add the light from the back side because it'll either illuminate your back frame and you'll be a silhouette, or your back will just be completely blown out. So always try to make sure to find some sort of natural lighting and angle it so it's coming at you from the front side. And then the last pillar we're going to talk about is framing. So the first thing to keep in mind is your background. Of course, you don't want anything distracting or just taking away from the subject. So make sure that you have relevant items that are added into the frame, or just keep the frame completely clean. Second, you want to focus on your angles and distance. You don't want to be too close to the camera, of course, because then it'll have trouble focusing on you. On the flip side, you don't want to be too far from the camera because then, of course, you lose kind of that subject. You lose, you are this person speaking and giving all the information. And if you're too far and people can't focus on you, then it's a lot difficult to keep retention. And then the last thing is going to be eye level angle. We want to make sure that the camera is relatively level with your eye. You don't want it too high or too low to just give it that unflattering angle. So make sure that you're always kind of that eye level. And then this is just a good reference for framing. So you can see all three of us have shot a series. It's called Next Studio. I would highly recommend checking it out. It is on our website. It is basically a video series explaining a lot of what we're going to go over in this hug, but we go into a little bit more detail. So definitely check out Next Studio. But I do want to take your attention to my frame there. You can see in the background, there's a camera and light. That's like a whole box. If we go to the next frame or the next slide here, you can see that this is our in-house remote video studio. So basically everything, the four pillars that I just explained, we kind of built that all into one unit. So it's very convenient and it's plug and play. You can see on the bottom left there on the table, there's one USB or two USB. You just plug them straight in and then set your camera and your audio and you're good to go. So it's also very cost effective as well. You can see we have a mirrorless camera on there and we can take that off, go shoot all of our extra shots, B-roll, whatever we need, and then come back, put it right back on the remote video studio, and you're ready to shoot again. So again, very easy to use, and it's just for making personal and authentic videos.
A link on our website that shows how to actually one of these, put together this great blog that explains step by step how to put it together, what pieces of equipment you need to do it. You can literally get it all from here. We'll share that on the resources after the workshop.
Cool. Okay, so creating a video strategy. Next slide. Okay, so asking the right questions. So when we're building a video strategy, it really all comes down to being as intentional as possible. So we've kind of mapped this out amongst these questions. So starting with, what are the video goals? Who is this video for, and why will this content be valuable to them? When should you publish or send the video? Where will the video live? How long should the video be? And what is the call to action? So what are the video goals? Is it to promote your services? Is it to explain a concept or a process? Is it to showcase the product or service features? The answers to these questions should be the driving factor for the video's production plans. Who is this video for, and why will the video be valuable to them? So who is your ideal audience? Really narrowing that down, making sure that you're catering these videos to them. Oh, wait. And then just being intentional with the messaging, tone, and style to make sure you're matching that particular audience. So when should you publish or send this video? Publishing timing can be really crucial. Example could be, is it during certain parts of your sales milestones? Is it during holidays or cultural or social contexts? Relevance is key, and you really want to make sure you're sending it at the most appropriate time and also the most effective time for that viewer. And then where will this video live? Is this video for a blog, website page, social, email campaign? You want to make sure that you're placing it in the best place for your audience to see it. How long should the video be? We actually added this in because we noticed that this is something that a lot of people ask us right off the bat. And the truth is, it really just comes down to the content you're trying to put out. And we are not the people who made this phrase, but I'm sure everyone has heard content is king, and that's very true. And that should really inform the length of the video ultimately. So questions to ask would be, what does your audience need to know, and how can you keep the messaging succinct and engaging? What is the nature of your video? Is it interview-based? Is it more promotional? And what are the publishing intentions? Is it social versus website publishing? All of those are going to factor into how long the video should be, but ultimately it should be that you're providing the content that you need to provide to that viewer in the most succinct and engaging way possible.
Test, right? Like that's one more thing we always want to say. You know, you need to use tools, and we'll share some of that in a minute, but you need to use tools that allow you to understand how people are engaging with your videos. Are you losing them on minute 2? Are you losing them on second 15, right? So if you analyze the videos, understand who's engaging with them, how they are engaging with them, then you can actually make sure you create the right type of video. Optimizing is part of the process, and we'll share some of that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
So in this chart from Wistia, you could see that there was a significant increase in videos less than 1 minute in length uploaded in 2020. So another incredibly interesting finding here in the increase in uploads for videos is the 5 to 30 minute window. With the amount of series created or needed for video communication, this length really checks out with the trends we've been seeing amongst our clients or other MarTech users. There's a lot more interview style videos that are typically in long form, et cetera. So, but for sure, the most significant thing being how many more under 1 minute videos, typically social videos, to have like a quick engaging content exchange. So call to action. what are the next steps for your audience? Are you inviting the viewers to connect, contact, or act? Are you leading them to a possible conversion or relationship building opportunity? You want to make sure to be intentional with where you're leading them to make it an effective viewing experience. There's also some advanced options depending where you're publishing your videos or where you're hosting them rather. So for example, within Wistia or Vidyard, you can make customizable CTAs. You can integrate that with HubSpot. And then from there, you can actually be collecting that viewer information. So video conversion rate by position. This was another interesting finding from that Wistia report. You'll notice that in 2020, there was also a significant increase in conversions occurring for CTAs placed in the beginning of the video as opposed to the end. This was something that we found really interesting because before, you can see in 2016, it was the complete opposite almost. The end was usually the point where people would click that CTA or do the next step. And we're seeing that people are, or the viewers are typically acting earlier in the video. So that is something to keep in mind moving into now 2021 and moving forward. And then the conversion rate by interactive element over time. So between call to action, email collection forms, and annotations, this was another really interesting finding. You'll see that in 2020, the most interactive element was actually the email collection forms, which was also very interesting to us because we were always pushing for the customizable CTAs, which are really effective on the marketing end, but it is really interesting to see how users are interacting with the email collection forms as well.
Awesome. So I'm going to take over the next couple sections here. So we're going to talk about the video capturing process now.
By the way, if anybody has any, put them in the chat pane and we'll go through all of them at the end. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a few different ways to record your video. Of course, the standard way, you know, if you have one of those mirrorless or DSLR cameras, you pop in an SD card and you can record right to that card. Upon recording, then you can take it directly out, put it in the computer, and drop all your footage. So that's one way of going about it, but there are other ways that people don't really realize that you can do it. One way is through QuickTime. So if you have a Mac, you can use QuickTime and just do a new movie recording, record yourself through that. If you have a PC, you can use the camera app. It's the same exact process there. And then you also have obviously your software such as Zoom. You can start a solo meeting and just record that meeting as a standalone video. So that's another option. You also have browser recorders. So browser recorders are such as Soapbox and Vidyard. These are built in directly to Google Chrome, and they basically start your webcam and your microphone. You can record immediately, and then upon completion of the video, you can make light edits, which I'll touch a little bit more on here later in the presentation. Okay, so before you get started, make sure you create some sort of outline or a script. So this is very important. You don't want to just hit record because a lot of people get really excited. They hit record and then they kind of have that deer in the headlights moment of, oh no, I kind of don't know what I'm going to say. So you always want to make sure you create a breakdown for that video. You want to include key elements and your messaging. Always do a practice run. I think Isabella and I did 2 or 3 practice runs before this. So hopefully we're doing a pretty good job. And prep beforehand. So you want to make sure any talent that's going to be on camera, whether it's you or someone else, just always prepare for any sort of unexpected hiccups or any technical issues. Okay, so now you're ready to hit record. Here's some tips to go ahead and follow. So make sure you always focus on the content, not the lens. Again, there's that sort of deer in the headlights moment, and some people kind of get excited. They have all the content ready. They hit record, and then it's like, oh no, what's happening? So always make sure you're focusing on the content. You are the expert at what you're delivering. Don't be afraid to mess up either, right? That's what editing is for. So you can always mess up a sentence. You can fumble your words, no problem. Just start over, keep on going, and just roll with the punches. Next thing, keep in mind of the tone of your video. That's so important, right? Of course, if you're saying something that definitely is very exciting. You want to have that excitement in the video. You want your energy. On the flip side, if you're doing something that just needs to be a little bit touchy, just make sure you obviously watch your wording and everything of that nature. And then last is going to be body language. Just make sure you looked engaged and welcoming. You don't want to be monotone. You don't want to be super boring, because it's not going to be engaging and people are going to fall off pretty quickly. So just make sure you're always engaged. So now that you've recorded your video, we'll hop into video editing now. Now, here's just some software. Of course, there are plenty of other editing softwares out there, so these are definitely not the only ones. But these are the ones that we've been using mainly at Nextany. So the first one's going to be what I mentioned before, the Soapbox by Wistia and Vidyard Go. Those are those browser recorders. Once you record your video, they come up with a very basic editor. In the next slide, I'll actually show you a little bit more of that. Then you have Adobe Spark and iMovie. So those two are basically your entry-level points for professional editing platforms. They're basically, you see Adobe Premiere and Final Cut. Those are the fully professional platforms. Spark and iMovie is basically just a stripped-down version of that. So you can kind of get that bell curve learning process. And then once you've mastered those programs, you can take it to the next level with Premiere and Final Cut. And then lastly, there's the Script and Rev there in the middle. Those are pretty unique. They're relatively new. They're transcription software. And so you import your video into them. It transcribes the entire video. And then you actually edit the video rather than with a timeline. You edit it with something that looks very similar to a Google Doc. So you actually edit the words in a document rather than the video strip. All right, so this is basically the simple layout of the Soapbox editor. The image on the right is, you see that's the video, and then the timeline's at the bottom. It gives you the option of trimming your edges. So you can see I actually trimmed the front and the back there. That video, I probably clicked record and it took me 5 seconds to actually get started. So just making sure that you trim off those edges. And then you see on the left-hand side, you can do basic customization, naming your video, changing the thumbnail, changing the hex color of the play button, and adding a call to action.
And you can also edit things like, sharing your screen, sharing your camera. So this is a great tool to do screen shares and how-to videos and things like that.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the script. As you can see right off the bat, it very much looks like a Google Doc. So we imported our entire episode of Martech Masters, and you just click one button, transcribe, and within a few minutes, magic happens, and boom, you have that whole document with every single layout. So my favorite thing about the script is it can remove all the uhs and ums from an entire video. So you click one button, and it just magically poofs all of them. So the script is a really awesome tool. We just started using it, and we're definitely going to utilize it more. We mainly use it for social media videos, but as you can see, fully transcribed 40-minute videos within a few minutes. So definitely check that out if that's in your avenue. Now I'm going to touch on a few editing techniques. I'm not going to get deep dive into Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro. There's a lot there, and I don't have enough time to talk about it all, but some editing techniques that you want to focus on when recording and editing your first video is trimming the edges of the clips. So again, if you pause for a few seconds, just trim that out. You want to remove all those unwanted pauses again. So that's another really great thing about the script, right? It can just one click of a button, remove all of that. Adding B-roll over forced edits. I'll show you this a little bit later in the presentation. But basically, anytime you have an edit where it just feels a little bit harsh, or it doesn't feel like it really meshes well with the video, you can add relevant video clips over top that the subject's talking about to make it look a lot nicer. And then lastly, just adding transitions. That way it doesn't just kind of pop up on your screen. It rather fades into it, so it's a smooth transition. Okay, and let's take video one step further after editing. So the first step is enhancing video. So you might have heard of color correcting or color grading. This is when you basically just make all your contrast pop, your colors pop. As you can see there, this is a screenshot from Adobe Premiere. On the left-hand side, I have some waveform monitor. On my right-hand side, you have little sliders. You can actually see I've made micro adjustments to the contrast and the highlights, things like that. And it just enhances the video overall to not look so flat. It really pops your video more. Now, branding, this is extremely important, right? You want to make sure everything looks really clean and uniform. So these are screenshot examples of our MarTech Masters branding. We've added intros and outros to those videos. So when you click play, a little logo pops up. It's nice and quick. It gets right to the point and then brings the video straight forward. Then, of course, you have your logo, your colors, and then your watermark. You can actually see from the top right screenshot, we have our MarTech Masters watermark there in the top right. And then themed thumbnails. On the bottom, you can see all the thumbnails look relatively the same. You want to make sure that they're all uniform and clean. Okay, so this is what I was talking about when I was regarding B-roll. This is a video clip that we shot for one of our clients, and he's basically discussing the partnership that they have created with another company. And you'll see it goes from the first gentleman to the second gentleman talking, but you don't see that transition because we've added relative video clips over top. So Gabriel, if you could just play, 30 seconds of that. And you'll see as Mike's speaking, he's basically talking about, their relationship with Herborner pumps. And so Mike's speaking here, talking, we cut back to Mike, but then we have to transition to Wolfram because he's about to speak next. So I add these two clips over top, and then it goes to Wolfram. So it's not a hard cut from Mike to Wolfram. It has that over top B-roll clips to make it transition, and it's relevant to what they're speaking on. I also want to say, if you can't go out and capture your B-roll clips, right? So you're talking about something and you just say, look, it's impossible to go get video footage of that. I don't have those capabilities. Stock footage can be your best friend. You can find paid stock footage, free stock footage. Every year, they're adding more and more stock footage to different websites. So definitely explore that option if you cannot capture B-roll yourself.
And do some animations. You can use animations as B-roll too, right?
Absolutely. Okay, and so we are finally to our presentation. So this is a video clip. Basically, I walk you through the entire process of recording it, editing it, finalizing it, and ready to upload to wherever you want. So I'll go ahead and let Gabriel play it.
And this is going to play anything that's visible on the timeline.
Let's try it again.
The last window is here on the top left. This is your source window or your preview window. And this is basically any file that you select within your file selector will automatically pop in here, and then you'll be able to pull all of these files and drag them straight to your timeline. So to get started, I'm going to go to my file selector here and select the video. So it's actually already selected, but if I double click it, you'll see that I walk into frame, I hit record, so I'm doing this on my own, and I do my first take here. You can hear me scrub through it. Okay, and you can see frowny face because I kind of messed it up, and I did 2 takes overall. So it's a good rule of thumb to make a mental note of your best takes, especially if you do a lot of them. I did 2 takes in this, and I do know that one was much better. So basically, I'm scrolling through here on my clip to try to find that in point. And you can see, give a little wave there. So let's start it before the wave. So I'm going to go ahead and click I on my keyboard shortcut for in, and that's my in point. And there it is. You can see it pop up. And then I'm going to go ahead and click play.
My name's Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist.
And that seems like a pretty good starting point. So I'm going to just scrub through this until I find the ending point. It looks like right about here. So I'll scrub right before that, and then I'll click play.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, it looks like I moved forward a little bit because I know I start walking towards the camera there. So I'm going to find a nice out point. In this, I'm just clicking left and right on my keyboard to select each frame of the video. So this looks like a pretty good out point. I'm just going to click O for out. And now you can see I have a selected point on this raw video clip. Now this raw video clip, how do we get it to the timeline? We can simply click and drag it down. So now you see it in the timeline. So if I click play.
My name's Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing.
So there's the video clip. Okay, looking good so far. But we want to go ahead and use our better audio source. So you can see I have a lavalier microphone that I'm wearing, and that was recorded to. If I go back to my file selector, I can see here's my audio clip. And if you look at the waveform monitors, you can actually see the first take here. and then the second take. So I'm going to go ahead right here at the very beginning of that second take and click I, scroll to the end and click O for my out point, and then drag it down to the timeline. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to make sure that these are all lined up. So if you just look at it, you can see a pretty good pattern there. And this dipping point, or this plateauing point, I should say, we want to go ahead and try to line that up as close as possible. So I'm just kind of scrolling in here and magnifying. And that looks pretty close. So what I'm going to do now is just mute my original track from the camera. That way we're hearing just the lavalier source and seeing if the audio source here lines up.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing.
And you can see the difference in the audio quality there from using a microphone versus using the onboard camera microphone is much different. So let me go ahead and play back with the lavalier microphone as we just listened.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing.
And then if I solo the onboard microphone, it's much worse.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist.
So that's the big difference when using a microphone. You can definitely hear the difference right off the bat. Now, I want to remove that audio track, so I'm going to unlink the video and audio source and then just get rid of it. And I'm going to move that up so it's all lined up. So there we go. Now I have my video clip and my audio source all lined up and correct in my timeline. So from this point, you know, the video could technically be done. I could simply select my in point on my timeline, my out point on my timeline, and then render this video out and send it off. But as we discussed throughout the presentation, you can do a number of things to enhance a video to make it better. You know, the first thing we did talk about was adding some graphics. So I have a lower third that I've pre-rendered here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag this right in there. Now you can see it's much bigger, so I'm just going to cut the end off there. And we don't want it throughout the whole video. Now you can see this is an issue because the graphic is too small. It should be here in the corner, but it's relatively small. So I can actually select that. And now that I have it selected here in my source window, I can go up to my effects tab. This is a little bit more advanced that we did not discuss, but I can, once selected, I can scale this to double the size, and you can see that graphic will now slot right in. So I want to go ahead and play this back, but I want it to appear as I start talking. So,
hi, my name is Aaron.
There it is.
I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing. My job is to help.
But we don't want it to abruptly just disappear. So I can actually just right click on the end here and click apply default transition. Same thing in the end. And then I'll play it back.
Hi, my name is Aaron.
And you can see it fades in there.
Specialist.
So pretty nice. I'm going to extend it a little longer because you can see on the timeline on the actual numbers here, it goes for about seconds. So good. Now I'm also going to add some branding. You can see if I drop this here, we have the sprocket. Again, it is not in the correct place, so I'm going to go ahead and just double the size of it. And I'm also going to bring the opacity down on a little bit because I don't want it so prominent. I want it pretty subtle there in the top right. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the edges again. And you can see when I play this video,
hi, my name is
is.
Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing.
Okay, so that's looking pretty good. We have our branding with our sprocket. We have our lower third showing up. But as you can see, you know, the video still looks a little dull. It doesn't look too bright. The colors, you know, pretty unsaturated. So let's go ahead and jump into the coloring section as we discussed in the presentation. I'm going to go up to the color tab here right at the top on Premiere. Go ahead and select that, and you'll see my window change to an extremely similar view as we saw in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and change my face because that was pretty unflattering to look at. Coloring on this clip. So make sure that you have the correct source clip selected. If I click there, you can see that all of my scopes are here on the right. I also have a Lumetri scope that I can monitor, and you'll see when I do my adjustments on the right-hand side, these will all change. Now, I'm getting a number of things, a lot of my graphics showing up on my scopes, so I'm just going to hide those for now. And you can see that those whites disappeared at the top. Now, what this Lumetri scope is showing me is the range of color and exposure on my video. It's pretty flat. Typically, you want this to be somewhere up over 200, relatively in the 230s, and maybe just touching this top line. Same with the dark parts. The shadows, you want to low 51, 26 numbered area. So you can see we're pretty there. And what the scope is telling overall, this clip was underexposed. So on my side, I must have not exposed it correctly. And so what I can do in my editing platform is change that. And you can see as I bring that up, my scopes are coming up. If I just put it one stop of exposure, that already makes a pretty big difference. Now, I can go in here, my color temperature, as you can see, we can change all of this, but we don't want to do that too extreme because then it becomes looking very strange. But if I just up my contrast, I'm going to up my highlight as well to get that up to about that 230 point. My whites are my very tip-top bright spots. So bringing that up even more, I'm going to bring my blacks just so it's touching that 0 mark. See, it just barely glimpses that. And I'm also going to bring my shadows down. You can see the difference there, but now I'm looking kind of sickly, a little pale. So let's bring that saturation up. That looks better. So about 120 looks pretty good. And you can get into this, of course, you can change anything, you know, you can, if you like it a little cooler, if you like it a little warmer, you know, that is more personal preference and what's called color grading. But color correction is really just making sure that your Lumetri scopes are looking nice. So that way, when it's viewed on any computer, it looks nice and bright and properly exposed. Now I can even drop down to my creative here, sharpen it a little bit. You can see as you get there, it becomes a little bit strange looking. So I don't like to sharpen it too much, maybe add a little vibrance, but other than that, we can go ahead and click this little check mark box and see all the changes we just made from everyone original video. So you can see that it's a huge jump of difference. We made it much brighter, a little bit more contrasty, and brought out a little bit more color. So I'm looking at this video and it looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to my editing tab here and I'm going to play it back one more time. I'm going to bring my graphics back in.
Hi, my name is Aaron and I'm a multimedia specialist here.
It's definitely missing something though. So I've pre-recorded or preloaded, I should say, an audio track here. And I'm just going to select the very beginning as my endpoint. You can hear it's pretty loud. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. And I'm just going to select an out point because I'm not going to need this whole song since this video is so short. Go ahead and cut off the end there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that same default transition that I did from this graphic onto these audio sources. So that way the music track doesn't come straight in. I can also do that on my audio clip, just making sure that that beginning doesn't fade in too quickly. And then the video as well. And then lastly, the sprocket. That way everything fades in very nicely. Nothing's too abrupt. It doesn't look too strange. It doesn't immediately appear on your screen. Okay, let's get this back and see how it sounds.
Hi, my name is Aaron and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing. My job is to help you create engaging content.
So it sounds pretty good. The only difference, or the only thing that I'm seeing wrong, is that our audio is a little too loud. So if I see here's my audio source. So if I just click on that and bring it down, you can see how the decibel level comes down with it. So let me drag it down. Usually -12 is a good rule of thumb for soundtracks over people talking.
Hi, my name is Aaron and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing. My job is to help you create engaging content to help your business grow. In my spare time off, I really like to watch soccer and fly my drone.
Okay, so looks pretty good. I think maybe that audio comes in a little heavy when the bass drops here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a pen tool and drop that down a little bit as that comes in. And what I'm doing there is I'm adding a keyframe. So when in the timeline is playing and it hits this point, the audio is going to start dipping lower. So
in my spare time off, I really like to watch soccer and fly my drone.
you can't really notice it, but it does make a difference in the final video. So I'm going to go ahead and get this video rendered out, and then I'll go ahead and play it back for you guys once it's finished up. Okay, so now that I have that rendered out, I'm going to go ahead and play this video back so you can see the finalized version.
Hi, my name's Aaron, and I'm a multimedia specialist here at Nextiny Marketing. My job is to help you create engaging content to help your business grow. In my spare time off, I really like to watch soccer and fly my drone. I like to take it downtown and get aerial shots of downtown Sarasota. Thanks for watching.
Okay, and as you can see there, the video is completely finalized. It's ready to go out to anyone that we would need to send it to. We could put it into our email signature, but again, this is to just show how you can create from start to finish in a pretty quick manner. So thanks for watching, and we'll get back to the presentation.
Okay, so
Again, if you have any questions, let us know in the chat pane. I know there was some questions about the tools and everything. We'll go through that at the end. Isabella, do you want to get on this?
Yep, sounds good. So other video ideas to get you started. So one of the most common things we hear is, what do I shoot first? So that really, again, depends on your video goals. But some ideas to get you started would be an email signature, just like you saw in that video from Aaron. That's a great way to connect with new clients or new people that you're interacting with. It gives them a first impression when you maybe haven't met them in person yet. It also adds a great way to explain who you're the point of contact for in your company. So it also provides that benefit. Another great video to get started with is an FAQ video. You know, what questions are your sales teams getting? What do you hear a lot of? What's the friction between when people are visiting your website? What's the first thing they're contacting you about? Those are topics that would be great to start with video. And thank you videos or video voicemails are also really nice, like special touches when you're communicating with someone. It really sets you apart maybe from the competitor as well. So more video ideas that could really help fuel your marketing, your sales, and your service endeavors would be product videos, explainer videos, onboarding videos, internal training. Testimonials are excellent. Just getting your customers or your clients that are willing to be on camera and say what it was like working with you. Some promotional videos, company culture, or of course, social videos. We also have a guide that we put together of over 100 video ideas. And this really touches on website pages, marketing and sales, internal communications, HR, customer service, social promotions, and SEO, brand affinity, and long-term strategy. So it really goes over all the different ways you can use videos to help fuel your company's growth and all of your efforts with your clients.
Let's talk a little bit about analyzing, promoting, and optimizing your video efforts. The first thing we want to talk about is the different tools that you can use to host these videos. A lot of people think about YouTube first when they think about video. Some companies get Vimeo because they like some of the options they have internally. There are free options and paid options, especially in Vimeo. But YouTube especially is a great hosting platform if you're trying to tap on that channel. YouTube is a channel. YouTube is the second search engine. Search for things in there all the time. So if your videos, if your products, if your services make sense for someone searching on YouTube or searching on Google and finding those YouTube videos, we would recommend having those videos on YouTube. Now, there's an advantage to having your videos hosted in a platform that you manage. They have full access to not only editing and options and customization and branding, but also on the tracking side of things, a fully analytical tool like Wistia or Vidyard would also not only help you on the video side of things, but it would integrate into your other efforts. Wistia and Vidyard, both of them integrate into your HubSpot account. So you'll be able to know which leads are watching video, which customers are watching video. You can create lists from those endeavors. You can understand how people are watching the videos, what parts of the videos are being watched. So using Wistia or Vidyard will help you do this. We are Wistia partners. We've been using Wistia for a long time. We also use DataBox, which also integrates into HubSpot very, very well. So it helps you. These are DataBox boards, and we are connecting the dots between HubSpot, Wistia, and the other different efforts to understand, first of all, how many hours of video, how many video plays, all these things, but also, you know, customers, our leads closing at a higher rate when they're watching video. All these things are very important. So publishing, and repeating is something that we always recommend. Not only with video, with everything, but with video is as important as anything else on the marketing, sales, and customer service side of things. So make sure you go through your analytics, you understand what's going on, and then you optimize. So we have also some articles that we can share on how to increase video play rate and all these other metrics. That video play rate is one of the many things that we can optimize. You can add branding, you can optimize where the video, the player size, the thumbnail. You can use video thumbnails. You can use all kinds of different things. Adding people to the thumbnail, for example, increases the click-through rate, the play rate. So play with the things and for you. Video engagement is also very important. Is people actually engaging with your videos and playing them? You can measure this. And this is a great way to measure brand affinity, how people are engaging with your brand and your brand growing because people are spending time with your brand. So make data-driven edits to your content. Decide if there's a part that you're losing people, if there are parts and things like that. Shorten the length, personalize the video, and things like that. Video conversion rate, of course, we talked about where to put the call to action, what kind of call to action. Isabella shared how forms are being very successful now in the beginning. So play with these things, analyze, understand how people are engaging and converting from there, and make decisions on a per video basis there. Wistia is an amazing video SEO platform. All the video SEO is taken care of for you. And when you put videos on your website that are embedded from Wistia, because Wistia takes care of all the SEO, what happens ultimately is the same way you can find videos on Google from YouTube. And when you search something, you'll see videos on the search. You'll also see videos that are on Wistia, but the main difference of these two is when you click on the YouTube video, that takes you to YouTube. When you click on a Wistia video that comes up on the video, it takes you to your website. So this is increasing the amount of visits that you have on your website because the video is showing up on the search. Let's talk a little bit about analytics. This is a case study we wrote, and we actually won a HubSpot Impact Award with sharing how video customers that watch leads that watch video close at a 22% into customers compared to leads that didn't watch video closing at a 7%. So this is to show and understand the impact of video. This one is at a higher level, understanding the full impact, how watching videos increases closing rate from leads into customers. This is, again, a DataBox dashboard showing Wistia, HubSpot, and the different connections with lists that we can create internally to actually show the results of video. We'll talk a little bit about brand affinity, and I know some questions are coming through the chat pane. Let us know if you have any other questions. So we're going to have a whole brand affinity marketing video series and podcast workshop coming up in July. We'll share that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about that and how brand affinity could be fueled by video efforts and podcast efforts. So the way we see brand affinity is creating that emotional connection with your brand, creating a long-term strategy, and owning the audience. I know you can't really own the audience. The audience is only going to be there if they're engaging with your content, if you're creating valuable content for them, and they will come back if you're creating valuable, educational, entertaining content for them. So the strategy is very important. We'll talk about that in our next workshop, but the consistency is even more important. You can have a pretty sucky podcast or video series that doesn't get any attention in the first episodes, the first 100 episodes, but then all of a sudden you see it growing, and it has to do with you learning to do things better, tweaking your messaging, tweaking your theme, tweaking the way, getting better in camera, getting better on the recording, on the editing. So all of those things are as important as the strategy. So consistency is something that we continue to talk about, because it creates such an incredible impact in your brand. Now, these brand affinity efforts not only help on the marketing side of things, but while you're creating long-term efforts like video series or podcasts, you will create a brand impact that works for marketing, sales, customer service, HR, and all the different areas of your business. This is one of the mini series we've launched. This was 2-3 years ago. We had Coffee Talk Season 1. We went into Season 2. One of the things you need to think about is, because of that consistency, because you're posting things every week, every month, you'll be able to see that there are things that you can get better. In this case, we found a better space. We created more depth. So these things create an impact. You can see Season 2 had a bigger amount of plays, and we'll talk a lot more on our next workshop. We use Wistia, like I said. Video has amazing resources too, but Wistia has these Wistia channels that look like a Netflix experience. So Martech Masters is another one of our shows, and you can see that you can experience this as a Netflix experience. You watch the first one, then it takes you automatically into the second one and all those things. You can customize these channels, and it creates an amazing experience for the people that are watching these things. Promoting and generating additional content from your video series is going to be something that will expand, not just from video, but you can create the video podcast, use it on your website pages, use it on your blogs, creating blogs for every single episode. So creating video series and podcasts increases and it fuels your content strategy to continue to create great content that your audience want to engage with. So I know there's some questions in the chat, Payne. I want to make sure that we go through that and let us know if you have any other questions. Isabella, Aaron, do you guys have anything to add before we go into questions?
No, I mean, I think that you summed that up all perfectly, but yeah, if anyone has any questions about different types of videos you're trying to get into, maybe software or gear, by all means, you can throw it into the Q&A portion or into the chat feature as well. Yeah, absolutely. And if you have any technical questions as well, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll be happy to help out.
And of course, as I said, we have our next workshop on July 29th, again at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be about producing video series and podcasts for brand affinity marketing. I wanted to share that. While we go through, I also want to share here how you can connect with us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, but also we run the Video Hug, which is where you are right now. And we also run the Sarasota HubSpot user group. Yesterday, we had a workshop about SEO and content strategy, but also we have another one in July that's going to be about CRM management, HubSpot CRM management. So I recommend you guys checking that out. Let's go through the questions first. So of course, Loom is another great tool that people use to record on the computer. Someone mentioned Veeam, and then so it was Veeam.io. I think it's on the chat pane there. So we've never used that one, but there are so many tools coming out. We usually, again, use the Wistia tools. So Soapbox has been a tool that our whole team is using on a regular basis. And also remember, these tools don't have to be for professional videos only. You can just record a video that says, hey, John, I was trying to reach out to you, and let me show you what I was going to show you. And you record a video voicemail sharing your screen. You send it on an email, and that creates that connection, that emotional connection with the lead as a salesperson, for example, or as customer service. Now, you can also create these videos so on a professional level, so then all your different teams can actually use them. You can create a video that works for marketing to share online. You can use it in a set, have questions, and then someone has a question on customer service. You can use the same video. So think about that strategy when you're thinking about recording those videos. Of course, someone asked about what video software was. I know we answered that question. It was Adobe Premiere, but also Isabella mentioned how is a great tool if you're using Apple tools. If you're using iMovie, it's a great way to transition into that. Now, any other questions that you see from there? Anybody asking? I know we're at the top of the hour, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. I know some people are disconnecting, probably continuing with their workday, but we want to, again, thank you for joining the video HubSpot user group. We have our next workshop, like I said, on July 29th about producing video series and podcasts for brand affinity marketing. And if you want to connect with us, as I said, connect with us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and please make sure you check out the Sarasota HubSpot user group and our video HubSpot group to get invitation to our next events. Anything else, guys? Isabella, Aaron?
No, if anyone does have questions following the event, you can also contact us as well. And we are happy to answer anything that you might be, interested in learning about on the video marketing side or video production. Either or, we're always here to help.
Thank you. And we'll stay in touch, okay? See you next time. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.